The world does not hand out power, respect, or success. Those who take control, think clearly, and act deliberately are the ones who rise. Imagine having the ability to walk into any situation and move ahead while others stumble. To speak in a way that commands attention without shouting. To stay calm when everyone else loses control. This is not luck. This is skill, this is strategy, this is influence that cannot be ignored. Every interaction, every conversation, every decision is an opportunity. Most people waste them, reacting impulsively, letting emotions dictate their moves, revealing too much, and losing advantage without even knowing it. But you can change that. You can learn to observe first, understand human behavior, and act with intention. You can create influence that spreads silently but powerfully, turning every challenge into an advantage. The people who dominate life are not always the loudest or the strongest. They are the ones who think 2 steps ahead, who control their emotions, who prepare more than anyone else, and who protect their energy like a shield. They understand that real power is measured by what you accomplish, how you control yourself, and how others respond to you. Every word you say, every action you take, every decision you make can shift the balance in your favor. You are about to discover the rules that the most successful people live by, the rules that allow you to influence and win in any situation. These principles are practical, actionable, and rooted in real human behavior. They are not about luck, connections, or brute force. They are about clarity, strategy, and discipline. By mastering these rules, you will move beyond being reactive and step into a world where you dictate the pace, the tone, and the outcome. You will outsmart, outlast, and outperform without ever fighting unnecessarily. The power to dominate your life, conversations, and opportunities starts now. Every second you invest in learning these rules multiplies your advantage. The question is not whether you can do it. The question is whether you are ready to claim the control and influence you were meant to have. Are you ready to become the person who others listen to, respect, and follow? Because every move you make is calculated, intentional, and unstoppable. This is the moment where strategy meets action, where knowledge turns into power, and where ordinary people step into extraordinary dominance. Rule E, know more than you talk. Most people don't realize that the most powerful voices in the world are not the loudest. They're not the ones who talk endlessly. They're the ones who know more than they say. They choose their words with precision. They understand when to stay quiet, when to listen, and when to speak. That is where real power lies. The average person talks too much and knows too little. They give opinions on things they haven't studied. They argue over ideas they don't fully understand. They try to impress people by showing off what they think they know. But in doing so, they reveal how little wisdom they actually have. The person who knows more than they talk never falls into this trap. They don't need to prove themselves with endless chatter. Their confidence doesn't come from talking. It comes from knowing. Think about it. The most respected leaders, teachers, and communicators are not respected because they fill every silence with noise. They're respected because when they finally speak, their words carry weight. People lean in when they talk because everyone knows those words are backed by thought, study, and experience. One sentence from a wise person can have more impact than 100 pages of rambling. Knowing more than you talk builds authority. Imagine being in a room where someone is constantly talking about things they don't fully understand. You tune out quickly, don't you? But when someone speaks rarely, only after listening and considering the facts, you pay attention, you sense the difference. That's what this rule gives you, the ability to command attention without forcing it. This principle works in business, relationships, leadership, and personal growth. In business, the one who talks too much without substance gets ignored. But the one who studies the market, understands the numbers, and only speaks when they have something valuable to add becomes indispensable. In relationships, the one who constantly argues and pushes their views often damages much trust, while the one who listens, observes, and speaks carefully builds stronger bonds. The real secret is this: talking less and knowing more makes you unpredictable. People can't read you so easily. They can't anticipate your every thought because you don't throw everything out into the open. That mystery builds respect. It also gives you the advantage of hearing more than you reveal, which means you're always learning, always gathering information, while others are wasting energy exposing their thoughts carelessly. But don't confuse this with being silent out of fear. There's a difference between being afraid to speak and being wise enough to hold back until the right moment. Fear keeps people quiet because they doubt themselves. Wisdom keeps people quiet because they're waiting for the right time. When the wise finally speak, there is no hesitation. There is clarity, conviction, and impact. So how do you practice this rule in daily life? Start by disciplining yourself to listen more than you talk. When you're in a conversation, notice your urge to jump in. Approve something, to be the one with the answer. Instead, slow down, ask questions, let others reveal themselves. You'll be surprised how much people expose when you just give them space to talk. The more they reveal, the more you learn. The more you learn, the stronger your position becomes. At the same time, invest heavily in building knowledge. Read books, study your craft, analyze situations, and reflect on your experiences. Don't just collect information, seek understanding. Knowledge without reflection stays shallow. Knowledge combined with thought turns into wisdom. And wisdom is what allows you to speak few words, but make them matter. One of the smartest strategies you can adopt is to enter every conversation with the mindset of a student, a performer. Too many people approach conversations like they're on stage, desperate to impress the audience. They want to sound smart, so they throw around big words and half-formed opinions. But the student mindset keeps you grounded. You realize you don't need to show everything you know. You only need to learn what's useful and contribute what's necessary. That mindset will protect you from arrogance and keep you constantly growing. Another powerful benefit of knowing more than you talk is credibility. People can sense when your words come from genuine understanding. They can tell when your silence is backed by deep knowledge, not insecurity. Over time, this builds a reputation that money can't buy. People will start to trust you. They'll come to you for advice. They'll take your words seriously. Why? Because they know you don't waste them. This rule also protects you from mistakes. Most people talk themselves into trouble because they speak before they think. They reveal plans too early, share personal matters with the wrong people, or promise things they can't deliver. By practicing restraint, you avoid exposing yourself unnecessarily. You protect your privacy, your reputation, and your future. Remember this truth: strong people rarely feel the need to prove how much they know. Weak people do. Insecure people talk endlessly because they hope their words will cover their lack of substance. But substance doesn't need covering. Real knowledge speaks for itself. When you have it, people feel it in your tone, your presence, and your timing. Start small in your next meeting, your next conversation, your next debate. Talk less. Before you speak, ask yourself, is this adding value? Do I really know enough about this to speak with authority? If the answer is no, stay quiet. If the answer is yes, speak with strength. Over time, this habit will separate you from the crowd. Your goal should be this: when you talk, people stop scrolling, stop moving, and listen. Not because you shout, not because you dominate the room, but because your words have earned weight. And the way to earn that weight is simple: know more than you talk. Because in the end, it's not about saying more, it's about saying what matters. Rule 2, control your emotions. When you think about the strongest person in the room, it's not the one who shouts the loudest, slams their fist on the table, or storms out in anger. Strength is not measured by volume, it's measured by control. The one who controls their emotions has already won half the battle. Because no matter what situation comes, they cannot be shaken easily. Life will test you, people will frustrate you, circumstances will not always go your way. There will be delays, betrayals, disappointments, and unexpected turns. If you allow every one of those events to pull you like a puppet, you will spend your life reacting instead of leading. And the truth is, the person who cannot master their emotions will always be mastered by someone else. Think about anger. When you lose your temper, who's really in control? You, or the person who made you angry. The moment you explode, you hand them power over you. They pulled one string and you danced. They pressed one button and you reacted. That's not strength, that's weakness, dressed up in noise. Real power is being calm when everything around you is chaotic. Real power is being steady when others are losing their ground. The same goes for ego. How many people have ruined their opportunities because their pride got in the way? Someone corrected them, and instead of learning, they took offense. Someone challenged them, and instead of thinking, they fought back to protect their image. Ego blinds people. It makes them fight battles that don't need fighting and miss lessons that could change their future. Controlling your emotions means you don't let your pride decide your actions. You choose reason over reaction. Calmness under pressure is not just admirable, it's strategic. In business negotiations, the calm person always has the upper hand. When tempers rise, the one who stays composed thinks clearer, hears better, and makes smarter decisions. In personal relationships, the one who remains steady during conflict prevents arguments from escalating into damage that cannot be undone. Everywhere you look, the person who controls their emotions outlasts the one who doesn't. But here's the truth. Controlling emotions doesn't mean ignoring them. It doesn't mean you don't feel anger, disappointment, or frustration. You're human. Of course you do. The key is not letting those emotions drive the car. Emotions are signals. They tell you something is wrong or something matters. But if you let them decide your every move, you'll keep crashing. Self-control means you acknowledge the emotion, you feel it, but you don't let it own you. You step back, breathe, and then choose your response. The most dangerous decisions in life are the ones made in the heat of the moment. How many people have said things in anger that they later regretted for years? How many have made financial choices out of fear or greed only to lose everything? How many relationships have ended because someone reacted instead of reflecting? This is why self-control is not optional if you want to build a strong life. It's essential. So, how do you build this control? First, practice awareness. Notice when your emotions rise. Don't wait until you've already exploded. Catch yourself earlier. Feel your heart race, your tone sharpen, your thoughts rush. That's your signal. In that moment, pause. Even a few seconds of silence can save you from saying something destructive. Those few seconds are the difference between regret and wisdom. Second, train your mind daily. You don't control emotions by accident, you control them through discipline. Read, journal, reflect, and prepare yourself before the storm comes. When you start your day with calm reflection, you build inner strength that carries you through the chaos later. If you wake up rushed, distracted, and careless, you're far more likely to lose control at the first sign of pressure. Discipline in the morning leads to strength in the evening. Third, shift your perspective. When something triggers you, ask, will this matter in a week? Will this matter in a year? Most of the time, the answer is no. Why throw away your peace over something temporary? Temporary. People waste energy on arguments, comments, and situations that won't matter in the long run. You only have so much energy each day. Protect it. Save it for things that actually matter. Fourth, develop emotional endurance. Just like physical strength, emotional control grows with practice. The more situations you face without losing control, the stronger you get. Start small. If someone cuts you off in traffic, don't let it ruin your mood. If a coworker says something careless, don't let it destroy your day. Every time you choose calmness over chaos, you're training your mind. Over time, this becomes who you are. And here's something powerful. People trust those who control their emotions. They trust them as leaders, as partners, as friends. Why? Because they know you won't collapse under pressure. They know you won't turn small problems into big ones. They know you can be counted on when things get tough. Trust is built not by being perfect, but by being steady, and steadiness comes from emotional control. It also gives you an edge in influence. If you want to lead people, inspire them, or negotiate with them, they must believe you are stable. Nobody wants to follow someone. Nobody wants to trust someone who explodes or breaks down every time something goes wrong. Influence comes when people know you can stay balanced, no matter what. Remember this, the world respects calm strength more than loud chaos. Anger, arrogance, and outbursts might get attention for a moment, but calm authority earns respect for a lifetime. You don't need to raise your voice to prove you're strong. You need to raise your level of control. When you master this rule, you'll notice a shift. Situations that once shook you will barely move you. People who once triggered you will lose their power. Problems that once felt overwhelming will look manageable. You'll walk into rooms with quiet confidence, knowing nothing and no one can easily break your balance. That's real dominance. That's real freedom. Control your emotions and you control your life, because no one can defeat the person who refuses to defeat themselves. Rule 3, prepare more than others. Preparation is the hidden advantage that separates those who succeed from those who stumble. Most people wait for opportunities to arrive and then scramble at the last moment to figure things out. They enter situations half ready, hoping to improvise their way through. And while improvisation can sometimes work in small matters, when it comes to life-changing opportunities, the one who has prepared deeply will always outshine the one who hasn't. It's not glamorous. It's not exciting to spend late nights studying, reviewing details, or practicing when nobody is watching. It's not exciting to rehearse your words until they sound natural, or to research more than what others expect. But preparation is where the real battle is won. The person who does the hard work behind the scenes can walk into the spotlight with confidence, while those who relied only on talent or charm are left exposed. Think about this truth. Knowledge without preparation is wasted. You may have talent, intelligence, and natural ability, but if you don't prepare to use them, you'll get crushed by someone less talented but more prepared. Life doesn't reward only raw skill. Life rewards readiness. Every moment you spend preparing is a deposit in your future confidence. When you've prepared, you don't fear the unknown because you already know the ground you're standing on. Walking into a meeting without preparation is like walking into a fight with no armor. Walking into an interview without preparation is like showing up to a race with no training. You can try to fake confidence, but inside you know you're not ready. And that lack of preparation will show in your body language, your words, and your results. On the other hand, when you've put in the work, your preparation becomes your protection. It's the invisible shield that makes you untouchable. So why don't more people prepare? Because it requires discipline. It requires saying no to distractions when others are wasting time. It requires investing hours into something that may not pay off immediately. People want the outcome without the groundwork. They want to shine without putting in the sweat. And that's why so many fail when the real test comes. The test doesn't reveal your dreams. It reveals your preparation is not about predicting everything perfectly. It's about being ready for what matters most. You can't know the exact questions someone will ask you in a meeting, but you can prepare by mastering your subject. You can't predict every challenge in a project, but you can prepare by studying common problems and planning solutions. You can't know the exact future, but you can prepare yourself to handle whatever comes with strength and confidence. The person who prepares has options. They don't panic when things shift because they've already thought about alternatives. They don't freeze when asked a tough question because they've studied the details. They don't lose focus under pressure because their preparation gives them clarity. And here's the secret: preparation gives you calmness. It's not just about knowledge. It's about the peace of knowing you've already done the hard work. Look at history. The greatest leaders, athletes, and thinkers were not the ones who showed up casually. They prepared more than their A speech that inspires millions may sound natural, but behind it were weeks or months of crafting, editing, and rehearsing. A sports victory may look effortless, but behind it were years of training, drills, and discipline. What looks like ease is always built on preparation. If you want dominance, out-prepare everyone around you. Do the work they won't do. Read the books they ignore. Practice the skills they neglect. Study the details they overlook. People may have talent, they may even have charisma, but when the moment of truth arrives, preparation exposes the difference. It's the quiet worker who has prepared relentlessly that suddenly looks unbeatable in front of the crowd. Now think about your own life. Where are you underprepared? Is it in your career, your finances, your personal relationship? If you're honest, you'll see that the areas where you lack results are usually the areas where you haven't prepared properly. Success doesn't happen by chance. It happens by preparation meeting opportunity. And opportunity always comes. The question is whether you'll be ready when it does. Preparation also builds confidence in your communication. When you speak from preparation, your words carry weight. You're not scrambling for ideas or repeating cliches. You're grounded in knowledge. You've studied, you've thought it through, and people can feel it. Confidence without preparation is arrogance. Confidence with preparation is authority. People listen to those who clearly know what they're talking about, and preparation is what makes that possible. There's also another advantage. Preparation makes you independent. If you're prepared, you don't have to lean on luck, excuses, or favors. You don't have to hope others bail you out. You can stand on your own because you've already done the groundwork. Dependence fades when preparation rises. And independence is one of the strongest forms of dominance because it means you control your future. Preparation is also an act of respect. When you prepare, you respect your goals, your opportunities, and the people around you. Showing up unprepared is a form of disrespect to yourself, to others, and to the chance you've been given. But when you prepare, you say, "This matters, I take it seriously." And life rewards those who treat opportunities with seriousness. So ask yourself, what would your life look like if you doubled your preparation? If you spent more time studying your craft? If you rehearsed your words until they were sharp and clear? If you researched before every meeting, every project, every opportunity? Imagine the edge you would have. Imagine the confidence you would carry. Imagine how many doors would open because you weren't just another person showing up, but the person who had already done the work. The truth is simple. Preparation is the ultimate weapon. It's not flashy, it's not loud, but it never fails. While others are distracted, you're studying. While others are guessing, you're planning. While others are hoping, you're ready. And when the moment comes, you won't need to scramble. You'll step forward with quiet certainty. Knowing that your preparation has already built the outcome you're about to claim. Prepare more than others, and you will dominate without even trying to, because nothing is stronger than a person who's ready before the world even realizes the game has begun. Rule 4, choose logic over impulse. In every interaction, in every decision, there is a moment when the choice is yours. Act immediately, react without thought, or pause, assess, and respond with reason. The people who dominate, the people who consistently win in life, are not those who move first. They are the ones who move wisely. Impulsive reactions may feel satisfying in the moment, but they often lead to regret, mistakes, and lost opportunities. Every decision made without thought carries a hidden cost. When you choose logic over impulse, you step into a space where clarity, strategy, and foresight guide your actions. The first step in mastering this rule is awareness. Notice how often reactions come from emotion rather than reason. Anger, fear, excitement, pride, they all push you to move fast without fully understanding the situation. Most people live their lives responding to these impulses, and that is why they stumble repeatedly. When faced with pressure, the natural tendency is to act immediately, believing speed equals success. But true success is found in controlled, thoughtful responses. The smarter move is almost always the slower one, the one that comes after careful consideration. Developing this skill starts with small exercises. Pause before responding in conversation, especially when emotions are involved. Ask yourself what the real goal is, what you want to achieve, and how your response will impact the outcome. Often a few moments of deliberate thinking will prevent unnecessary conflict or missteps. This practice of pausing may feel uncomfortable at first because impulsive reactions are fast, they are familiar, they are habitual. But with repetition, the pause becomes your advantage. You gain the ability to see beyond the immediate, to anticipate consequences, and to choose actions that align with your long-term goals. Logic over impulse also requires a clear understanding of your values and priorities. When you know what truly matters to you, decisions become simpler. You no longer react to distractions, provocations, or irrelevant challenges. Instead, you filter every situation through the lens of your objectives and principles. This clarity transforms hesitation into strength because your pause is not indecision. It is precision. Every word you speak, every step you take becomes intentional. You conserve your energy for what matters and avoid the chaos of emotional reaction. Impulse often comes with a false sense of urgency. People feel pressured to respond immediately, believing speed signals competence. But consider this: slow, deliberate responses often demonstrate mastery. They show control, maturity, and strategic thinking. Others may act impulsively, creating mistakes they cannot undo, while you, by taking the time to assess, act with power, foresight, and effectiveness. Your slower considered move is the one that usually carries the weight of victory. This principle applies not just to conversations or conflicts, but to every area of life. Business decisions, financial choices, relationships, and personal goals all benefit when logic takes the lead over impulse. The individual who evaluates data, considers alternatives, and thinks through consequences consistently outperforms the one who reacts immediately without insight. Over time, this habit develops into a reputation for reliability, wisdom, and strategic intelligence. People begin to recognize you as someone whose actions are measured and whose decisions lead to consistent success. To internalize this rule, make it daily practice to question your first reaction. Ask, is this the best choice, or am I acting from emotion? This simple question slows down the mental process, forcing logic to take the lead. Combine this with reflection. After every significant decision, review what worked, what didn't, and how emotions may have influenced your actions. Over time, your ability to separate instinct from reason will sharpen, and you will move through life with precision rather than chaos. Discipline plays a crucial role here. It takes control to resist the urge to react immediately. It takes commitment to choose reason over the fleeting satisfaction of acting on impulse. But the results are profound. Mistakes are reduced, relationships improve, opportunities are captured because your actions are intentional. Influence grows because people recognize that your choices are grounded in clarity and purpose rather than fleeting emotion. Logic becomes your competitive advantage, and impulse becomes something you observe in others, not something you allow to control you. Choosing logic over impulse is not about inaction. It is not about hesitating until the moment passes. It is about acting with thought, not in reaction. It is about turning moments that could lead to mistakes into moments of strategy, foresight, and power. In every interaction, in every decision, this rule creates a gap between those who simply react and those who dominate, those who respond and those who win. The key takeaway is this: quick reactions may feel satisfying, but they rarely lead to lasting success. Thoughtful, logical responses create outcomes that build influence, trust, and long-term advantage. By consistently practicing this, you train your mind to act deliberately, to respond with intelligence, and to make decisions that serve your ultimate goals. Over time, this habit transforms your life. You move with confidence, authority, and control because you are guided by logic, not impulse. And in that space, dominance becomes natural. When you make logic your default mode, the world reacts to your steadiness. Opportunities recognize preparation, mistakes diminish, and your actions consistently produce results. Opportunists, every challenge you face becomes a platform to demonstrate restraint, wisdom, and strategic thinking. Impulse no longer controls the outcome, your mind does. Choosing logic over impulse is not just a rule, it is a lifestyle that separates those who stumble from those who consistently win. Rule 5, turn discipline into power. True power does not come from force, luck, or talent alone. It comes from control, mastery, and the consistent application of discipline in every area of life. Discipline is the bridge between desire and accomplishment, the foundation upon which influence, authority, and success are built. Without discipline, knowledge, strategy, and even opportunity fail to produce the results they are capable of delivering. Every action taken without control is a seed planted in chaos. Every habit left unmanaged becomes a barrier to progress. Discipline is what transforms potential into achievement and intention into reality. The first step in turning discipline into power is understanding that discipline is not punishment, it is freedom. Many people resist discipline because they believe it confines them, restricts them, or makes life rigid. In reality, discipline frees the mind, strengthens focus, and eliminates distractions. When daily actions are guided by structure and intentionality, every effort compounds. The individual who exercises discipline over time builds momentum that cannot be matched by erratic effort or fleeting motivation. Small, consistent actions become habits, and habits become unstoppable forces. Discipline requires control over habits, time, and priorities. Habits dictate the trajectory of life more than any single decision. What is repeated consistently, whether productive or destructive, shapes outcomes. Mastery begins with observing your current routines and identifying which habits serve your goals and which do not. Replacing unproductive habits with disciplined alternatives is not easy because the human mind resists change and seeks comfort. Yet, the power of discipline lies in persevering even when resistance arises, and choosing the path that aligns with long-term objectives rather than momentary gratification. Time is another arena where discipline transforms into power. Most people believe they lack time, but in truth, they lack control over how time is spent. Discipline ensures that hours are directed toward meaningful actions rather than wasted on distractions. Planning, prioritization, and adherence to structured routines allow you to extract the maximum value from every day. Each hour becomes a building block toward influence and mastery. Those who cannot manage their time are at the mercy of circumstance, while those who wield discipline over time control their outcomes. Focus is the third element where discipline translates into power. The mind is the ultimate tool, and undisciplined thoughts scatter energy, dilute effort, and invite failure. Concentration requires training, repetition, and commitment to a single course of action until results are achieved. Multitasking and distraction may seem efficient, but they weaken performance and produce inconsistent results. Discipline forces the mind to maintain attention, to execute plans thoroughly, and to pursue excellence relentlessly. Power flows naturally from the ability to direct thought, energy, and effort toward clear objectives without wavering. Discipline also extends to emotions and responses. The individual who masters their reactions, who chooses steadiness over impulsiveness, strength over weakness, becomes unshakable. Emotional discipline prevents sabotage by frustration, anger, or fear. It enables consistency in decision-making, resilience in adversity, and reliability in relationships. People are drawn to those who exhibit control because it signals stability, wisdom, and trustworthiness. When you exercise discipline over yourself, others instinctively recognize your capability and respond with respect. The process of building discipline is gradual. It begins with small, deliberate choices. Waking up early, completing daily tasks on schedule, maintaining focus in moments of distraction, resisting temptation, and staying committed to long-term goals. All of these are small exercises in self-control that accumulate into immense power. The key is consistency. Discipline is not a single act. It is a lifestyle, a pattern repeated across time until it becomes second nature. Every small victory reinforces confidence, strengthens habits, and expands influence. Resist and challenge. There will be moments when discipline feels burdensome, when motivation wanes, or when shortcuts appear tempting. The difference between those who dominate and those who falter is not the ability to persist in discipline even when it is difficult. This persistence compounds. Each act of restraint, each deliberate choice becomes a deposit in a bank of power that pays dividends over a lifetime. Those who fail to cultivate discipline are at the mercy of impulses, circumstances, and other people's influence. Those who embrace it, however, create independence, authority, and unstoppable momentum. Discipline also amplifies learning and growth. The mind of a disciplined person absorbs knowledge systematically, applies it consistently, and measures results with objectivity. Habits of study, reflection, and improvement are maintained without relying on fluctuating inspiration. This structured approach allows mastery to develop faster and more reliably than random effort. The combination of disciplined action and focused learning produces expertise, credibility, and influence that others cannot match. Another vital aspect of turning discipline into power is consistency in action despite obstacles. Life will always present challenges, distractions, and setbacks. Discipline provides the framework to remain steady, to continue acting toward goals regardless of circumstances. Momentum is created when effort is relentless, and the power that emerges from repeated disciplined choices builds an advantage over those who act sporadically or emotionally. Over time, the cumulative effect of disciplined actions far outweighs raw talent or intelligence alone. Discipline also governs the use of resources. Financial, social, and personal resources become instruments of influence when managed deliberately. Waste, carelessness, or impulsive consumption dissipates potential. Deliberate allocation, saving, and strategic investment, on the other hand, magnify capability. The disciplined person positions themselves to act decisively, to seize opportunities, and to create impact because every resource is accounted for and applied purposefully. Power emerges naturally when control over oneself extends to control over what one commands. Ultimately, the mastery of discipline transforms the individual into a force that is both reliable and strategic. Habits, time, focus, emotions, and resources are harnessed with precision. Decision-making is calculated rather than reactive, actions are intentional rather than impulsive, and results become predictable and significant. Discipline turns potential energy into kinetic results. Every action guided by discipline builds momentum toward dominance in every field of endeavor. Influence grows because people recognize authority in action, reliability in decisions, and wisdom in consistency. The individual who controls themselves controls their environment. They become capable of navigating complexity, mastering relationships, and achieving goals with steady confidence. The most important takeaway is this: power is not given. It is earned through discipline. Knowledge, talent, and opportunity only produce results when guided by consistent action, deliberate choice, and mastery of self. Discipline is the lever that multiplies effort, magnifies influence, and transforms ambition into tangible results. When self-control governs your habits, time, and focus, no one can manipulate you, no one can derail your progress, and no one can diminish your capability. Discipline is not a limitation. It is the ultimate freedom and the most reliable path to total dominance. When discipline becomes the foundation of every choice, every decision, and every action, it creates a life of power, authority, and consistent achievement. It is the skill that separates those who drift through circumstances from those who navigate and dominate their world. Every small act of control compounds, producing influence, mastery, and a presence that commands respect. Turning discipline into power is the decisive step that transforms ordinary potential into extraordinary achievement. Rule 6, observe and adapt. Observing and adapting is one of the most overlooked yet crucial strategies for staying ahead in any situation. True dominance does not come from rigid plans or unchanging behavior. It comes from the ability to perceive, learn, and adjust without losing direction or purpose. Every interaction, every conversation, every decision carries information, and the person who pays attention collects knowledge that others miss. Observation is not passive, it is active, deliberate, and focused. It requires the mind to be alert, the senses to be engaged, and the ego to step aside. By watching carefully, patterns begin to emerge. You start to see how people react under pressure, what triggers emotions, and how decisions are made. This information is a tool, a resource, and a source of power when applied thoughtfully. Adapting is the natural extension of observation. Knowledge without action is wasted. The most successful people are not always the loudest, the strongest, or the most assertive. They are often the ones who understand the environment, notice the nuances of behavior, and respond strategically. Adaptation requires flexibility in thought and action, the willingness to change tactics while remaining true to long-term objectives. It means recognizing when a plan is not working and having the courage to adjust before failure occurs. Those who cling stubbornly to a single approach risk stagnation, whereas those who adapt thrive in complexity. Observation also sharp. By paying attention to microexpressions, tone of voice, and body language, you gain insights into what drives others. Understanding their motives, fears, and desires allows you to communicate more effectively and make decisions that align with the situation. Adaptation, in this sense, is not manipulation. It is strategic alignment. You position yourself in a way that maximizes influence while respecting your own principles and purpose. Being observant requires discipline. It is easy to get lost in assumptions, distractions, or preconceptions. But those who commit to careful watching notice patterns that repeat over time. This builds predictive ability, the skill to anticipate behavior before it occurs. Anticipation is a form of power. It allows for proactive decisions rather than reactive responses. When you can see the next move before it happens, you control the rhythm of interactions and gain the upper hand without confrontation. Adapting also builds resilience. Life rarely unfolds exactly as planned. Obstacles, setbacks, and unexpected developments are inevitable. Those who can adjust strategies without abandoning their core purpose, maintain momentum, and minimize losses. Adaptation turns challenges into opportunities. It allows you to maintain stability while others struggle with uncertainty. The more skilled you become at observing and adjusting, the more effortless decision-making becomes, and the greater your advantage over those who act without awareness. Adaptation does not mean compromising your values or direction. It means refining methods, altering approaches, and experimenting to see what works best. It is the balance between consistency and flexibility. The person who observes carefully, learns quickly, and adapts without hesitation becomes unpredictable in the best possible way. They remain focused on their goals, but respond to conditions with precision, turning complexity into opportunity. Every situation offers lessons if you are willing to watch closely. Meetings, conversations, negotiations, and conflicts all contain subtle cues. Success comes to those who notice these cues, decode the patterns, and apply insights intelligently. Observation is like reading the landscape before moving. Adaptation is adjusting your steps to the terrain without losing direction. Those who master this combination outperform those who rely on force or luck alone. The practice of observation and adaptation also enhances relationships. People respond to those who understand them. When you notice preferences, motivations, and triggers, you can communicate in ways that resonate. This is influence at its purest. Adaptation ensures your interactions are effective without being manipulative. By observing and responding thoughtfully, you create alignment, trust, and cooperation naturally. Patience is an essential component of this rule. Observing takes time, and adaptation requires thoughtful execution. Quick judgments or impulsive adjustments often backfire. The smarter approach is deliberate, measured, and informed by careful attention. When you allow yourself to fully understand the dynamics at play before acting, your moves carry more weight and generate stronger results. Over time, observation and adaptation become second nature. You start to anticipate behavior, detect patterns, and adjust without conscious effort. This makes you highly effective in diverse situations, whether in business, personal interactions, or competitive environments. The ability to see clearly, understand deeply, and respond strategically gives you a lasting edge. Those who fail to observe, resist learning from their surroundings, or act rigidly fall behind. Those who master these skills stay ahead, influencing outcomes rather than reacting to them. Ultimately, the power of observation and adaptation lies in combining awareness with action. You collect information through careful watching, interpret it through critical thinking, and implement changes that strengthen your position. This is not about reacting emotionally or compromising your goals. It is about being present, understanding context, and making decisions that advance your objectives. The most effective individuals are those who can read the room, anticipate moves, and adjust without hesitation, all while keeping their purpose intact. Discipline, patience, and insight are the tools that make observation and adaptation effective. Habits of attentiveness, reflection, and calculated response transform ordinary individuals into formidable strategists. By constantly observing, learning, and refining your approach, you create a continuous cycle of improvement. Each adjustment builds confidence, each insight increases leverage, and each well-timed action enhances influence. Observation and adaptation are not just strategies. They are skills that compound over time. They require consistent practice, attention to detail, and the courage to change when necessary. They allow you to navigate uncertainty, capitalize on opportunities, and maintain a competitive advantage. The individual who masters these skills becomes resilient, influential, and dominant without relying on aggression, luck, or shortcuts. They stay ahead because they understand the environment, adjust their actions wisely, and never lose sight of their purpose. This rule teaches that dominance is not about overpowering others in every interaction. It is about perceiving, understanding, and responding more effectively than anyone else. When you combine awareness, insight, and the ability to adjust, you create a position of strength that is both sustainable and formidable. Those who observe and adapt move with intelligence, anticipate the moves of others, and make decisions that maximize outcomes. This is a skill that separates those who drift through life from those who shape it. Rule 7, speak less, influence more. True power in communication does not come from speaking endlessly or filling the room with words. Influence grows when every word you choose carries weight, when every statement you make has intention behind it. Speaking less is not about being silent out of fear or shyness. It is about understanding the value of restraint and timing. People naturally listen more when you are deliberate with what you say. Noise often distracts, confuses, or undermines your authority. Influence, on the other hand, grows when your words are selective, precise, and purposeful. When you speak less, you observe more. You begin to notice what others miss, the subtle reactions, the unspoken signals, the patterns in conversation that reveal truth. Those who dominate situations without raising their voice often gain insight that loud talkers overlook. Silence becomes a tool, a lens that lets you understand the dynamics of interactions and positions you to act with precision. Every word you speak, after careful observation, carries a multiplier effect. It is heard, remembered, and respected because it is measured and intentional. Influence is not built solely on speaking, it is demonstrated through action. When you reserve words for moments that matter, your behavior reinforces your message. People pay attention because they see that what you say aligns with what you do. Strategic silence adds credibility. If you act consistently while speaking selectively, your influence is not questioned, it is trusted. Influence grows when people sense your confidence, understand your purpose, and recognize that your words are not wasted on trivial matters. Choosing when to speak also protects your position and your energy. Every conversation carries a risk. Words can mislead, escalate conflict, or create unnecessary tension. Those who dominate know that by holding back, they maintain control over the narrative and reduce the chance of error. Strategic restraint ensures that your words hit their target instead of drifting aimlessly. Influence becomes a byproduct of disciplined communication, not a result of endless chatter. Speaking less also creates curiosity and respect. When you rarely speak without purpose, people listen intently. When you do, they lean in, they value your perspective, and they naturally give you space to lead. Influence is amplified because scarcity gives your voice significance. Over time, people learn that your statements are meaningful, and your silence is not emptiness, but observation, thought, and preparation. The more strategic your speech, the more potent your presence. Being selective with words requires awareness and patience. You must think ahead, Understand the context and recognize the power of timing. Impulsive or excessive talking often dilutes authority. Speaking less ensures clarity, prevents misunderstanding, and positions you as someone whose contributions carry weight. This discipline is not easy at first. The instinct to fill silence is strong, but the results are undeniable. Those who master this rule create a presence that commands attention without demanding it. Influence without coercion, and respect without asserting it loudly. Influence grows when words are backed by action. When people see consistency between your silence, your measured speech, and your behaviors, they naturally align with your objectives. Your voice becomes a tool for focus rather than distraction. Every statement is sharper, every point more memorable, and every interaction more impactful. Silence is not absence. It is preparation, observation, and strategic positioning. Those who speak less but act decisively always maintain an advantage. Strategic silence also allows you to gather information. While others talk, you listen, analyze, and understand. This gives you insight into motives, emotions, and opportunities. Speaking less means you have time to process what is truly important and respond in a way that shapes outcomes effectively. Influence is built on understanding first, reacting second. Words are powerful when they are delivered with thought, not habit. Those who master the art of speaking less influence more because they combine clarity, timing, and purpose. They prioritize quality over quantity. Every sentence serves a function, every pause reinforces authority, and every action confirms intention. Influence is not about dominating conversations, it is about controlling the effect your words and actions have on others. Strategic speech ensures that when you do speak, the impact is maximum. The rule of speaking less also aligns with respect for others. People are drawn to those who do not impose opinions carelessly. When words are limited, each one resonates. Others recognize that communication is intentional and thoughtful. Influence is strengthened when people know your words are worth hearing, because they are always backed by insight, experience, and deliberate thought. When silence is paired with action, influence becomes exponential. Those who understand the power of speaking less do not need to shout or demand attention. Their presence commands it naturally. They are observed, listened to, and respected because their contributions are purposeful, precise, and reinforced through consistent results. The strategic speaker is always in control, always prepared, and always ahead. Speaking less does not mean avoiding engagement or being passive. It means choosing moments wisely, understanding context, and letting actions reinforce speech. Influence grows because the audience feels the weight behind each statement. When your words are rare, they are valued. When your silence is strategic, it speaks louder than ordinary talk. Speaking less allows you to remain composed, observant, and deliberate in every interaction. Mastery of this principle requires discipline, patience, and awareness. The habit of speaking only when necessary must be cultivated consciously. The benefits, however, are transformative. Influence grows, respect increases, and authority becomes evident without effort. Those who learn to speak less and act deliberately position themselves for sustained dominance in any personal, professional, or social arena. This principle creates a foundation for long-term effectiveness. By saying what matters and letting actions carry the weight of your intentions, you not only gain influence, but also build credibility. People are drawn to reliability, thoughtfulness, and strategic thinking. Speaking less ensures your contributions are memorable and respected, making influence a natural result of thoughtful communication and consistent action. Rule 8, protect your energy. The most powerful advantage you can have is the ability to control your energy. Not every conversation, situation, or person deserves your focus, and learning to protect your energy is one of the most effective ways to maintain dominance Energy is a finite resource, and those who waste it on distractions, conflicts, or negativity often fall behind. Being deliberate about where you invest your attention allows you to preserve clarity, motivation, and strength. The ability to recognize what deserves your effort and what does not is a skill that separates the strategic from the reactive. Protecting your energy begins with awareness. You must notice the people and circumstances that consistently drain you or pull you off course. Some individuals feed on attention and conflict, drawing others into their drama. Engaging with them without purpose is a loss of control. It is not about avoiding responsibility or being cold. It is about directing your energy to where it generates the highest return. Every minute spent reacting to the wrong stimulus is a minute you are not building, creating, or advancing toward. Focusing on what elevates you means prioritizing relationships, tasks, and environments that contribute to growth, clarity, and progress. Influence comes from consistent action, preparation, and observation, but none of that can happen when energy is scattered. Protecting your energy allows you to remain steady, confident, and capable of making decisions that matter. Others will attempt to pull you into distractions or conflict, but those who manage their energy strategically can stay calm, think clearly, and respond in ways that serve their objective. Boundaries are essential in energy protection. Learning to say no without guilt is critical. People who are trying to drain your energy often rely on you being available for their drama or distractions. When you consistently refuse to engage in things that do not align with your goals, you begin to set a tone of respect and focus. Your time and attention become a controlled resource, and those who wish to influence you learn quickly that you are selective. Dominance is often invisible. It is maintained through disciplined focus and control of internal and external resources. And energy is the core of that control. Energy is also influenced by your mental state. Stress, anger, and reactive emotions deplete it quickly. Those who master energy protection do not let every external stimulus dictate how they feel or act. Calmness under pressure is a form of power because it allows you to respond rationally and strategically rather than being pulled into conflict or poor decisions. Protecting energy means maintaining composure even when others attempt to provoke or manipulate. The quieter your mind, the sharper your insight, and the more effective your actions. Investing energy in meaningful work multiplies influence. When you focus on projects, opportunities, and relationships that provide growth, your capacity to outsmart others increases. Those who try to drain your energy are rarely operating with the same intention. By reserving your focus for high-value priorities, you naturally outpace others who scatter their attention on trivial matters. Strategic energy management is about being deliberate, choosing battles wisely, and concentrating on what yields tangible results. Protecting your energy also improves decision-making. When your attention is spread thin, critical opportunities are missed, and poor choices become more likely. Focused energy provides clarity, foresight, and resilience. The ability to recognize when something is not worth your effort and why direct your attention toward meaningful action ensures that your progress is uninterrupted. Outsmarting others is not about confrontation. It is about being intentional with your internal resources, using them efficiently, and maximizing your effectiveness in every situation. Everything you've learned about outsmarting anyone comes down to one principle: control of knowledge, control of emotions, control of preparation, control of logic, and control of energy. When you manage these elements, dominance is not a fleeting moment. It becomes a consistent reality. True power doesn't rely on intimidation or confrontation. It comes from precision, patience, and the ability to act deliberately while others react impulsively. You cannot control everything, but you can control yourself. Every decision, every response, every moment of focus is yours to command. Those who rise to the top are not always the loudest or the fastest. They are the ones who maintain clarity when chaos surrounds them, who make calculated moves when others act recklessly, and who preserve their energy when distractions try to pull them off course. This is where true superiority lives, not in force, but in strategy, discipline, and restraint. Remember, dominance is built quietly, patiently, and intentionally. The person who knows more than they speak, who masters their emotions, who prepares relentlessly, and who directs their energy wisely will always hold the advantage. Influence grows when words are used sparingly and meaningfully, and when actions consistently back up every claim. People respect those who are consistent, deliberate, and disciplined, and they recognize instinctively when someone is operating from strength rather than chaos. I love winning individual battles. It's about positioning yourself where your focus, preparation, and discipline give you consistent leverage over time. Outsmarting anyone is not a game of aggression. It is a game of patience, observation, and calculated action. Every moment you protect your energy, every choice you make with intention, every step you take toward preparation strengthens your ability to dominate in